What is your advice to Canadians who are planning to gather today for the holidays? Our reporter, Creason, essentially laying out the game plan, and your colleagues saying we have to remain vigilant.
Yeah, I mean, our case counts are very high. We just can't measure them properly. So that's what needs to be taken into account. So it depends on your situation you're in. If you have had two doses at least already and have been infected during the last 2 months or so, since mid-February, you're probably well protected also against transmitting the virus to others now. So that's a situation that just gives you a little bit of an advantage. And that's actually pretty relevant because it looks as if we slowly approach 45 to 50% of the population here in Ontario who has been infected since the beginning of December. So quite a few people just have protection through vaccination and the recent exposition already with BA2, with this new subvariant. Okay. For all of us who haven't been infected relatively recently, we just need to be really careful that we don't transmit to others and that we don't get sick ourselves, of course. If the weather is nice, just move outdoors and meet outdoors. If you meet indoors, just make it relatively small, ventilate well. And if there are, people who are vulnerable, and this just means, people in their 70s, 80s, even without risk factors, and even though they have had perhaps 3 doses, but not 4 yet, that's just something that needs to be considered. And the other part, last one, don't trust rapid tests. We don't know yet how this works with BA2. If it's negative once, not enough.
That's
It needs to be
interesting
at least
because a lot of
twice.
folks are popping around when you talk to them. I'm sure you do. Maybe they don't have the nerve to say this to you, but they'll say it to me. Oh, I'll just take a rapid test and I'll see you in a couple of hours. Talk more about that, sir.
At least 2 rapid tests, at least 24 hours apart, and no symptoms. And, if you basically just have these 2 rapid tests 24 hours apart, but you were heavily socializing in between, the race starts again from scratch. We just need to be aware of that. If we have 5% of the population right now is infectious, as we speak out there, when you go somewhere and socialize, it's relatively certain, if the group is a bit larger, that there's at least one person in there who is infectious right now. And the part that really is a bit worrisome is that when we're early, during the first 24 to 48 and perhaps 72 hours, we know that already from BA1, then these tests will not necessarily detect that you are infected. That's the challenge. Therefore, just one test, forget it, that's not enough. Yeah. And if you have symptoms, forget it, then you have symptoms and you should isolate too. And symptoms means I lost my appetite, I'm very tired, I have a sniffle, all of that's symptoms too.
Okay, and definitely if you have those sniffles, you got to wear that mask. There's a lot of debate, Dr. Juni, about the mask mandate, particularly in the province of Ontario. What are your thoughts on that, sir? Do you think that mask mandate, hated by many, loved by many as well, we should note, should it be brought back?
No, look, we're in a situation now where we seem to have reached the crest. No, so that's pretty important. Why is this the case? It's probably a combination of factors. One is, luckily, people changed again their behavior a bit, but I don't have data to really support that. That's just anecdotes. Then we have the good weather that helped us tremendously. But there's a third aspect, which is really important. Again, there were a lot of infections happening very recently. And we probably really start to have now a situation where a lot of people are relatively immune now against infections as well. That's only for a short period of time. The immunity against serious outcomes will last much longer. But this helps control all of this. So if we continue to be a bit careful, meaning avoid crowded spaces indoors and mask up and use good masks. The equivalent of an N95 can be a KF94, KN95, or an N95. Or if you don't have that, a medical mask below and a cloth mask on top so that the fit is snuggly. All of that will help. And we just need to do that a few more weeks.
So I do not believe mask game.
Yes. I do not believe that, at that time point that mask mandates will come back. And when I now see that we reach the crests, if we're all a bit careful, this will already help.
And you're seeing that. We're out of time, and I know the control, but you're seeing that, right? You're seeing folks, whether the mandate is there or not, you're seeing folks take it upon themselves to say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable right now walking in public, being amongst a crowd without a mask. There's that.
And I see
That's
that also as
evolution.
a sign of solidarity.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. No, and you know, when we just, despite the control room now, you know, when I just think about the last few days when I had to go back to a home improvement
Yeah.
store to get stuff, you know, for our house, I see that things have changed again. Nearly everybody there is masked again, which is great. And that's Ontario,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Okay. I can't picture you in a Home Depot, but you got the shirt on, so we're halfway there. Dr. Peter Juni, always a pleasure, sir. Stay safe, and thank you for your time.
You too.